Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world one book at a time. Today we're cracking open the Federalist Papers to understand the U.S. Constitution not as a set of rules, but as a machine designed to handle a very specific problem.
See, the authors of the Federalist Papers weren't just sitting around theorizing. They were in the middle of a full-blown crisis. Their first attempt at a government, the Articles of Confederation, was completely falling apart. You could say the system was suffering from a political overload, and it was being driven by unchecked human ambition.
And they don't hide it. Right there, in the very first essay, they lay it all out. This wasn't some casual philosophical debate. It was a desperate, practical mission to build something that could actually survive the pressures that were tearing the country apart.
So, this whole mess forced James Madison and his colleagues to ask a really fundamental question. When you're trying to build a government for the people, what is the core problem you're actually trying to solve?
And this is his iconic answer. The fundamental problem is us. It's human nature. The entire system is built on this really realistic, you might even say cynical, foundation. It just assumes that people are not angels and that they're going to act in their own self-interest. So you have to design a system for that reality. Okay, so if people aren't angels, how on earth do you build a government for them? Well, the solution they came up with in the Federalist Papers, we can understand it through one big idea: a political firewall.
The blueprint for this whole system was laid out in these 85 essays. You can think of them as the original sales pitch, the technical manual, and the philosophical justification for a brand new political machine, all rolled into one.
And this is the key to that firewall metaphor. The Constitution isn't just a list of do's and don'ts. It's an active system. It's designed to take all the messy, chaotic, volatile stuff of political life, the factions, the passions, the raw ambition, and just slow it all down, filter it, and hopefully prevent it from crashing the entire government.
And this firewall has layers. The raw inputs are things like factions and personal ambition. The first firewall layer is the separation of powers, pitting the legislative, executive, and judicial branches against each other. The second is federalism, that built-in tension between state and national power. And the intended output? Policy that's slow, deliberate, and hopefully a lot more moderate.
So how does this firewall actually work? What's the mechanism that powers it? Well, it's a beautifully simple and, kind of cynical idea. You use human nature to regulate itself.
There it is, the core principle in Madison's own words. The system doesn't try to make ambitious people good. It just assumes they're going to be ambitious. So it creates a structure where the only way for them to achieve their goals is by checking the ambition of everyone else.
Let me give you an example. Just look at the original design of Congress. The House of Representatives, with those short 2-year terms, is designed to be super responsive to the immediate passions of the people. A member's ambition is tied directly to popular approval. But the Senate, with its 6-year terms, was designed to be a cooling saucer, insulated from that passion with incentives focused on long-term stability. Their ambitions are literally pitted against each other to create balance.
Now, this brings up a pretty big question. Why has this 18th century design, this really intricate system of competing ambitions, lasted for so long?
I mean, we're talking more than 230 years. That's an incredible feat of political engineering, no matter what you think of its flaws. Its longevity is a key feature we really have to explain.
So why does it persist? Well, there are a few key reasons. First, it's the established game. Everybody knows the rules. Second, power is so distributed that tons of people have an incentive to keep the system running just to protect their own little piece of it. And finally, over time, it's just become deeply wrapped up in the national identity.
But this brings us to the final, and I think most critical part of this whole analysis. This internal system, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to operate in the real world.
And that leads to a really challenging question for us today. Is a political firewall that was designed to handle the inputs of an 18th century farming society really sufficient for the massive complex inputs of the 21st century? The first huge external pressure is just the sheer scale of modern economic life. The founders could not have possibly conceived of the size and complexity of today's economy, and that places incredible stress on that original design.
And the second is constant geopolitical interconnection. Sure, Hamilton was worried about America's place among nations back in Federalist No. 11, but the speed and intensity of modern global politics, well, that's an entirely different kind of challenge for a system that was designed to be slow and deliberate.
And here's the key takeaway.
When we only focus on the internal mechanics of this firewall system, the checks and balances, while we ignore the overwhelming external forces of the economy and the world, it creates a fundamental crisis in perception. We misdiagnose our problems because we're looking at the original blueprint, but not at the world that the structure actually has to exist in today.
This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.